Welcome back to the eZaango podcast, everybody. This is episode 3 now, which is insane. The second one in our new studio. We finally got some lights and stuff in. We are joined today by Aaron Nauta from AB First Aid and Training, right? So
Yeah, AB First Aid and AB Health and Fitness.
AB
So
First Aid and AB
both
Health
of them,
and
yeah.
Fitness. So you're in a
You're not wrong.
plethora of different health spaces.
Exactly.
If you had to explain to someone what you did in a minute, how would you sum that up?
It's like an elevator pitch that I should have remembered.
Right.
But,
Probably should.
Yeah, we focus on, I like to focus on, kind of holistic health. So we do in the gym side of things, helping people with their, fitness and all that kind of stuff. But we also, most of our clientele is not people who are doing like the high rocks and the marathon running and all that, which I love to do marathon running and all that, but it's mostly we help people who are just trying to have fitness for life, and our motto is really movement is life. So that we're just kind of helping people stay active throughout their life. And then with the first aid side of things, we like to just help people make compliance easier, right? Just through, that could be through the training side of things, through the dashboards, all that kind of stuff, just making compliance a lot more simple and easier to stay on top of. So yeah,
and if a company did want to find your kind of compliance and health trainings for their staff, let's say an NDIS company wanted to come train 150, 200 staff across a couple of states, where would they be able to find you?
So they would just go on our website, which is abfirstaid.com.au, and they just fill out a form on there. So it's we have a really quick response rate, so that's something that I push with the team, is that we like to get back to our clients within 5 minutes, which is
5 minutes. Very impressive.
That's very impressive.
During working hours.
Okay.
I don't expect the team to be up at 2 a.m. answering
Yeah, that's
emails,
fair
but
enough.
during the work days, we like to get back to people. Sometimes it's an hour later, but our goal is to get back to
Within
people,
5
because
minutes.
there is choices out there. We know that, but we like to exceed expectations and really help people make things a lot easier.
So besides this like rapid response time, like there's options out there for everything these days, it seems.
Exactly.
What would you say separates you guys from everyone else?
I would say that there's we really have a high focus on customer service, all the way from that first interaction with people through to, like, if people are sending their staff to us, we want each individual team member to have an amazing experience. I jokingly say amazing because it's maybe,
I think he says it with his name too.
exactly. Amazing. But yeah, so we like to give them that amazing experience from walking in the door, and also getting the quality in training as well. So we a lot of compliance can be box ticking for people. I had a lady that came in this morning, and she'd been, she's a disability worker, and she has been to first aids. It's English second language. She's been in Australia probably about 5 to 10 years, and she had never done first aid on a mannequin, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, it just happened this morning. That's why it's actually so, but it's not, this isn't rare. This is something that comes all the time, where people have gone somewhere and they haven't had that full training. And so one thing, like, we have lots of trainers that work for AB, and one of our goal is, we want to make sure it's consistent across everything. So if you came in and did a session with me or one of our other trainers, that it's going to be the same, and the same experience every, that greeting when you walk in the door, that quality of training that you're going to get. And then also, if you're the coordinator that's booking the training, that you're getting that same experience. I think that's really important.
The admin side,
so customer service,
that's massive.
but also the consistency, that the
Lovely.
expectation is the same every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's perfect. And I think, like, especially with health certification, it's so important for it to be consistent. And I find that a lot of people who have gone through first aid, health and safety, the first time, generally if you're raised in Australia, the first time you go through is in school, right? Whether it's in like I had mine in year 9, and all I remember was giggling about, pressing on this mannequin and kissing it If you can imagine like a group of 14-year-old boys.
I've trained those
Okay.
14-year-old boys where you go in and they're all laughing and giggling and
Yeah.
it's so I've been that trainer.
Yeah. And I feel like having that consistency through your entire staff as well, right? Say if someone had 100, 150, 200 plus staff and they wanted everyone to be on the exact same page, which is so important for a business. It's amazing to have a facility and a crew where you can guarantee almost that, yes, like the training from these people will be this is what we expect, this is what will happen, and this is the outcome. And I think
it's important for sometimes the actual business owner or the person that's sending them to this training should be going and doing the training so that they can see the consistency and see what their staff are actually getting, what their team's going through.
100%.
So that they actually know, okay, because if it just becomes a box tick, then it's it's not really compliance, right? It's not really compliance is, yes, they've got the certificate, but when it comes down to it, do they have the ability to actually perform when something happens? And that's actually what you're as the business owner or as the organization, you need to feel confident, especially if you're going out, if you're in the disability sector, childcare, schools, you're working with the most vulnerable. And if you're working with those people, you want those people to be able to react in any situation, right away and not hesitate. So
I mean, I like this box tick term that you use. I like it a lot because I find that with a lot of the compliance stuff or things that change within the industry, it does end up just becoming another like box tick. I guess like from a marketing point of view, it's like, I sent the email. It's like it doesn't matter what's in the email. So
it's like if you can put it on your wall, it's like, I got this and this and this.
I've got this certificate, I've got this certificate, I've got this one. But it's like, do you actually, when it comes down to, could you act on that certificate that you have? Because the certificate is the bare minimum. Right? Like that's like, I've got it, but it's not actually, you want to raise the bar up and actually be like able to perform confidently. And the only way you can do that is generally if you're doing in-house training and you're actually doing it with your staff regularly and possibly doing scenarios with them of like, what would we do if this happened, and actually act it out with your, it seems a bit cheesy to be like, let's all like act this out at work and, let's have role playing. But it's like, that's the only way that you're actually going to be able to put people into those situations, and you can actually see how people perform. When I was first, like I used to do lifeguarding, and they would actually, my manager would just secretly go and throw a mannequin into the pool when nobody was noticing. And if ideally you do notice that they're doing it, because that means you're actually paying attention. But they'd hire somebody to come in and start drowning in the middle of the pool, just pretending to see how fast you would react, right? And so it's like, that's the only way that you can get your team to actually, I find, to be ready to go. So, and it doesn't have to be that extreme where it's like you're a lifeguard, but it's like you can have a disgruntled patron come in and pretend to do something. Like there's ways to do it in your industry, whatever that industry is, to actually see what's happening. And that's kind of being proactive rather than reactive to a situation that could come in.
Have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, I haven't.
Oh no, I'm sitting with two people. So there's a scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right, where the captain of the police brigade, he kind of he tells one of his employees to act as particular characters. I think you know what I'm talking about behind the camera there. And it's Terry Crews is playing this character, right? And for a whole episode, big hunk of a man, Terry Crews is walking around with a rope and a piece of paper around his neck that says old grandma or like 5-year-old toddler.
Yeah.
And he's just acting in all these crazy ways. And this would have been much funnier if either of you had seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. As I now realize.
Was the goal of that so that
the role playing. It just reminded me. It just reminded me of that. But yeah, I think we would definitely feel awkward if we had to role play.
Yeah.
Like a first aid situation. If a client came into we obviously don't need first aid certificates for the work that we do.
If you're thinking of it that way, it's like you do it for sales calls, right? If you had somebody who was doing your sales calls and you wanted them to get better at their sales calls, you're going to be sitting on there and you're going to be role playing what the customer is going to be saying, right? So it's no different when it comes to if you have a client that you could be working with somebody who's in a wheelchair, for instance, and I always bring this up, and what do we do if that person goes unconscious and stops breathing? And people, freeze when they're like, this person's in a wheelchair. That's not what I learned in my first aid course. That's not what we talked about. What do we do? Like, can you do first aid in the wheelchair? Do we have to get them out? What? So there's all of these.
Why isn't the Bee Gees playing? What's
Exactly.
going on?
Where's the Bee Gees playing? Why aren't we? And everybody brings up that song in training. It's like, that's not, I try not to bring that song up, because then people are like, where's the music when you're actually doing it? So, but all of these things, it's, you want to contextualize to your industry, to your business. And that's why, like, it is really important to be actually, I think, doing more of a group training session with your team, rather than sending them just to a random public first aid course somewhere, or manual handling course, or whatever course they're doing, is doing it as a team, so that you can actually have that conversation with your team as you're doing it, and being like, what would we do in this situation, so that you can all work together, and you learn off of different experiences from each other, that have somebody in the room has had to deal with that, and what did they do, what didn't work well, and all that. So
do you act out those scenarios? So if somebody comes in, we had this particular incident and we didn't deal with it.
We do role playing in the session, and we, so it really depends on the group that I have in that day. But we try to have some scenarios, and I do a lot of, I don't have a learning style of getting up and lecturing people and standing up and, telling them this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's all, the whole session that you're doing is actually moving and doing it, right? Yeah. So it's learning through doing, rather than having somebody talk to you. And I'm sure you've been to courses, any type, not just safety courses, where somebody's telling you what to do and you're just sitting there glossing over and not really paying attention after a bit, and then you need your coffee and candies and all that. So I find that people, if you're actually doing something and getting engaged in it, then you're going to be learning way better, and absorbing more and having some fun. People are, one thing I do get comments from people outside the room is, there was so much laughing in there. What do you guys all, and it's people, they make mistakes, they fumble around. That's where you want to do it. You want to do it while you're doing this training. Like, I'm like, make as many mistakes as you want today. That's actually what we're here to do, is so that in the real situation, you're doing the best you can with what you've learned,
with what you got as well. Yeah 100%. And that wheelchair example is actually really, really funny, because when you said it, I sat here and I went, what would I do if someone was in a wheelchair? Because I used to be the personal trainer, and we'd get our first aid safety courses done every year, and working at gyms as well. Before that, for the past 3 or 4 years, we had to get first aid safety as well, and I've never thought about what would happen if the person was in a wheelchair.
And most people don't. And
I guess I was ticking boxes.
Especially in the NDIS sector and like disability. It's like there's a high chance you're going to be working with somebody who might be in a wheelchair. And you need to, like, you need to know, it's a duty of care for you to actually know what to do in that situation. Not everybody's going to come across that situation, but if you're constantly working in that situation with somebody who is in a wheelchair, then you should probably know that. Right? Like, that's actually your duty of care as the business owner, as the organization, also, if that's who you are, to be making sure your team's confident in that.
I have a comment, maybe controversial. It's more of I've read that in a lot of, at least in your industry, from your perspective, the mannequins used are mainly male. Have you noticed that even if someone is trained maybe in first aid in general, and it's maybe a female that's gone down,
statistically, people are less likely to do CPR on a female versus a male, which is something that a lot of attention is coming out right now, and there's a few campaigns that are actually going that. So there's a lot of mannequins that are now coming out, and that's something that we actually have is mannequins that have breasts as well, so that you can actually, you're actually in a real situation. It doesn't become a shock that, oh my gosh, somebody has boobs. It's it's 50% of the population, and it shouldn't be that. There shouldn't actually be that stigma, I guess, and that discrepancy, because a person's a person, right? And I guess people are just afraid that, are they going to be, in trouble for, I guess, touching somebody's chest. So it's and I think that if you're that person that's unconscious and you're not breathing, I don't think you care if somebody touches your chest. Honestly, I think that it's,
I think you care more if they save your life.
You just want to get this going. All right. So it is controversial, and there is a stigma against it, and it's something that people are trying to bring awareness to. And I think that you should be asking that question to your first aid provider and your providers of education. Do you have mannequins that are available so that we can actually have practice on female mannequins as well? And it's funny because they call them little Annie, usually, is that's the name of the mannequin. So it is actually technically female, but it doesn't have a female body.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at like the name of a lot of the original mannequins and stuff like that, it's supposed to be female, but it's not shaped in a female body at all. Anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of a grim origin story, isn't it? Because it's based on like a real like Jane Doe.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not sure, like, everybody obviously has different bodies, but it's good to have something that is more realistic. You can actually get mannequins in many different body shapes and sizes, but there is obviously the standard shape that they've kind of made for standard first aid. So it is good to have all body types when, you can get different skin colors as well, which is great. So we try to actually have, I bring out all the different mannequins. It's great. You got diversity and
Love it.
yeah. So
Is there an actual difference when delivering CPR to
Different body shapes.
different body shapes?
no, it's
No.
like I won't go through a course for you right now, but it's all it's the same. It's
all
just
the same.
different. It's just depth, right? So like
Right.
if you're doing compressions on somebody who's a lot bigger, you're gonna have to get a lot more depth on that person versus a smaller infant or something. Less pressure, right? So exactly, you've got it. You remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know.
So you mentioned you don't play Bee Gees. So
I don't, but
Yeah.
It's funny because there's a lot better songs I find, right? Like there's a lot of songs that you can use. People use Baby Shark, and people, if you're a bit more morbid, people use another one, Bites the Dust. But yeah, I've got a couple trainers that do enjoy using some music to the background and just putting it on for one round of it just to have a giggle and that. But it's because it is fun to. But on general, it's not something that because I'm like, people then start to go through it and they're singing it, and I'm like, I can't. I'm a bit dyslexic, and I'll like try to count and sing at the same time. And how do you know when to stop? Do you stop at the chorus? So I find it just complicates things. I'm just like, just count. Just keep it simple. People need it simple. With any education, I think that simple, people are more ready to act than if you complicate things. That's why first aid, I don't know, like training has become way more simplified than it was 20 years ago. Like it used to be so complicated. You have to, some courses, you have to get things just perfect, otherwise you fail. Right? It was like, if you don't do this bandage perfectly correct, or you don't tie this knot perfectly correct, you got to redo it until it's perfect. And I think it discourages people when things are so complicated that you feel like, I can't do it because if I do it wrong, I'm going to get in trouble. And that's what, with safety training, it's better to do something than nothing at all, right? It's better just to at least attempt to help them. At least, if anything, call 000, and then they'll hopefully walk you through.
But the bare minimum, right?
Yeah,
like
just call 000,
absolute
and they'll remind
bare,
you. But
yeah.
it's
I'm sure that you find the complication side of things even more prevalent in the health and fitness aspect of your business.
Oh, I've got people who come and do PT with me for the last 4 or 5 years, and they can't like remember how to do, if I say like do a deadlift, they can't remember what a deadlift is, and I'm like, we just did this last week, and it's like,
It happens.
but it's not,
every day.
that's why people go and do fitness classes. That's why they go and do personal training.
Yeah.
It's not, they come in, they do the session, and then they turn it off and pretend that never happened. No.
Do you do nutrition as well?
I personally don't.
Okay.
We work with a lot of dietitians and physios and EPs that I will always refer that on to somebody else, because everybody is, we've always been a gym that's never focused on the food side of things, because a lot of gyms will have like that 6-week challenge, and they'll say you need to cut your calories and you need to do this and that, and yes, you'll lose weight, but on the last day of the challenge, when it's done, what are you going to do? You're going to go to McDonald's and you're going to get yourself a burger, and you'll be like, I did such a good job, and then you're going to put that all back on plus some. And so food and nutrition and all that is not about just a quick fix. It's you need to change your lifestyle. And so what works for me is not the same thing that's going to work for you. When you're looking for a diet plan or whatever you're looking for, you need to be like, this is how I'm going to live from now on. This is where I'm going to be. And so for me, I intermittent fast. I've done it for the last 8 years probably, and so I don't eat breakfast. I'll have my coffee in the morning, and then I just will have, usually around 1 o'clock I'll eat again, and then I'll eat till I go to bed, and then I won't eat.
Yep.
So that works for me because it saves me time as well.
I hated that so much. I hated intermittent fasting. I had when I was personal training, I had a deep rooted hatred of intermittent fasting because everyone I would work with would come to me and they'd be like, "Should I be fasting? Should I be fasting?
Yeah.
Should I be
And people
fasting?
say that all the time.
Should I be fasting? Like, do I need to fast? Do I need to do this diet or that or keto or carnivore?" Or I had one gentleman. I wasn't doing his nutrition. I did do other people's nutrition, but I wasn't doing his because he came to me and was like, "No, I got it, mate." I was like, "Okay, no problems. You do your thing." And within 3 weeks, he changed from intermittent fasting to carnivore to keto. And I was like, this isn't. That's not getting you anywhere. Like, you just pick one.
Yeah, and
I love the way that you've done it
for a while. Though you got to see if it actually is right for you. But obviously they didn't work for him, so he had to keep changing. But I say
how can you tell within a week?
And I think it's really important to actually do a few actually try things. It is good to try things, give them a chance. But it's like you need to think about the long run because you can't. And it. I don't know if I'll always do this forever, but I'm like, it really works for me at this time of my life. And I'm not restricted either. So some people will be like, no, I can never have breakfast. I'll have breakfast if I go for a really long run and I'm like, I need to eat today, or friends want to go out for breakfast. We go out for breakfast. I'm like, I'm not going to say you can't do this, you can't do that.
Exactly.
That's me though, right? Some people are like, oh, if I have breakfast today, I'll have breakfast every day now. And it's like, they'll, they on or off. So
I find that with fitness, people are always on extreme ends of the spectrum, and they find it very difficult to find like a middle ground. The average person, let's say, when they start going to the gym, they're like, "I'm going to go to the gym every day," and then they suck at it, and then they don't go to the gym at all because going to the gym every day sucks. Or like on the other extreme side of things, it's like, I'm only going to walk. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to try anything else. I'm not going to look at anything else. And people find it very difficult to have a healthy medium of, let's say, running and weightlifting and potentially some stretching and mobility on the side, and then just eating generally good, decent foods that aren't
and it's
super
like it's
processed.
90-10, it's like 90% of the time have a good, solid diet. 90% of the time do your fitness. 10% of the time be lazy. Have cake,
have a donut.
Exactly. Have a donut for breakfast now.
Yeah. And the best way to count that for me was like, okay, I figured it out. I was like, okay, like I'm eating 4 meals a day and there's 7 days in a week. So I'm eating 28 meals a week. Maths is not my strong suit. I mean, 28 meals a week, right? 3 of those meals can suck.
And
it's like 3 of those meals can suck.
When I say to people,
doesn't matter.
And it's have your portion or have your, it's not like one day a week I'm going to go out and I'm going to eat the buffet on Friday night and just go nuts and, binge drink and all that. Like that can ruin, a good diet is having one bad day like that. People, you've got to actually still stick to your portion sizes and stuff.
It's a
still
cheat
eat,
meal.
Still cheat, and it's cheat meal, not
cheat day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cheat
100%.
buffet.
Cheat buffet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd be shocked. So Saranga is vegan.
Yeah, that's
right. And what I figured out is that he can eat. Just to be quite frank, you can eat like unlimited food. Because I was looking at my own calories the other day. I was like, hang on, like this like all these vegetables, they don't have any calories.
No,
this is all you eat. Yeah. So like he brings this big, juicy lunchbox every single day. I'm like, you eat like 10 of those, and still never put on any weight. As long as you're hitting your other nutritional values and you're supplementing correctly if you need to, and like, yeah.
It's actually because of abs, and you met Nat earlier, that kind of got me more into, I don't know, diet and like fitness. Because
your diet hasn't changed.
My diet hasn't actually changed.
Yeah.
There's only so.
Some people just have it, Some people don't need to. I've got to work. I've got to run like 10K every day, so that I can eat what I want to eat and then not put on weight. Like that's for me. I'm like, I've got to run, But I run so that I can eat. Yeah, I used to be overweight as a child, so it's like I'm always constantly, running.
Been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. Me and Arish, we both kind of came from that as well, and it like a part of it always sticks with. It doesn't
Always
matter how
sticks
good
there.
a
Yeah,
good shape
exactly.
you're in. You're like adjusting your shirt, or like a lot of the times that I find I'm sitting down. If I'm wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt, I'll just chuck it up here for no particular reason. I don't know why, but I think that definitely contributes to the exercise that we do as adults. It's like the way you felt about yourself growing up. But anyways, you're about to say that Nat and I got you into training.
Yeah, because my posture. So my friends called me out like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
About my anterior pelvic tilt. Apparently, they called me an Instagram
Yeah.
girl. And they only mentioned it one time and then never mentioned it again. And I just thought, oh, I fixed it.
Yeah.
Great for me. But they just thought, oh, he's never going to do anything, so what's the point of telling him?
Yeah.
Then when I started working here, they called me out like immediately.
Yeah.
And not just
And you're
once.
like, oh, it's still there.
Like relentlessly. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So I had to go on YouTube, find some exercises.
Yeah.
I think Abs and Irish had a big part in play to finally take protein. 'Cause obviously, in a vegan diet, protein is.
And that's a hard thing for a lot of people who I've spoken to that are vegan, that finding enough types of protein, because you don't want to have necessarily the same thing every time.
There's only so much tofu and tempeh you can eat, right?
Yeah, and getting
I do get a lot of protein from like legumes and tofu, but I needed more as soon as I started exercising. So I think I had enough to sustain just me eating vegetables every day. But then when I started working on my core, I suddenly need, okay, I'm not having enough protein. There's only so much tofu you can eat. So now I have protein shakes, which I never thought I would do. But it's not only is it helping like the exercise wise, it's almost like a caffeine hit, because I don't drink caffeine, which kind of wakes you up. It also makes me like feel good that I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Before I was like, oh, I'm
You
cool.
have, you have caffeinated protein?
No, it feels.
Oh,
that
it
way.
feels like a.
I was like,
I need some of this.
Yeah.
Where did
because you
this?
get the protein coffee now, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get the protein coffee.
So that's pretty much what he'd be drinking then.
Yeah, but I've never seen him drink a coffee.
No, that's just like another story with like my dentist. I had teeth staining issues, and she was trying to figure out.
See, he listens to the advice that he gets.
Yes,
So the
this
dentist
is
said
excellent.
to you, you're getting stains on your teeth. It's time to stop coffee, and you listen. You've got the posterior tilt. You've got, that's good to know.
But she didn't exactly know what the cause was, because she said, well, your teeth is very healthy, it just stain very easily. So at first she was like, okay, cut down tea and coffee. Which, telling a Sri Lankan person to cut down tea and coffee is an insane thing to do. But I was like, okay, I can do that. So 6 months later, my teeth were still staining. So like, okay. Then she's like, oh, do you like use mouthwash? I'm like, yeah, every night, because that's what the commercials have told me to do. It really gets rid of
Doesn't everybody
99.9%.
listen to the commercials? That's
Yeah,
exactly
it really
right.
gets rid of 99.9% of germs. And she's like, yeah, but it doesn't seem like you need it, because most people use it for like bad breath.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe cut down on mouthwash, because mouthwash can cause staining.
Okay.
So I cut out. So
See,
that was a
you've
6
learned
month
that
period.
today too.
So now I don't have tea, coffee, and don't use mouthwash, but my teeth aren't staining anymore.
Yeah.
So after this 6 month period, I had to add in coffee and tea again to see if my teeth will stain without mouthwash. So it's all like an 18-month experimentation to see.
Fair enough. I want to know about this experiment, because I'm like, I use mouthwash. I'm like, if that's
And your teeth don't seem very stained to me.
I brush and I have good dental health, I think. Yeah. My dentist tells me anyways.
Yes. I think she might tell me the same thing to get me to come back.
To
I'm
be
doing a
honest-
great job. You should keep coming back to
You're
me.
doing such a good job. Come
be
back in
honest,
6 months.
I don't think I've been to the dentist since I got my braces off.
How long was that?
School.
Yeah, I was gonna say
High school.
12 years, yeah.
High school. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so I pay for private health. So eventually I'm like, well,
You
why
gotta
am I
use it.
paying it? I gotta use it, right?
Gotta use
Which is actually great, because I have to wear glasses, because I
Yeah.
can barely see without them on, right?
Mm.
And it's worth it just to get new glasses every year, because my eyes since COVID had just exponentially worse every year.
Hmm.
And it's kind of hard when you're working like a 9 to 5 desk job, like in marketing, you're essentially looking at screens, which is why I try to avoid it outside of work. But yeah,
You'd also sit very close to your computer.
yeah, like a grandma, like literally, like
Well, it's
I can't see. It's just so far away. I need to be. into my work.
And I would assume that you have the nice desk that like raises up and
I do.
lowers, and you don't sit the whole day. And
Yeah, much to the
take
envy of
breaks
some
and-
other co-works that I won't mention, that the standing desk that I
People were coming for his desk, man.
yeah.
People were coming for his desk. They were like, Saranga never stands at
That's
his
one of
desk.
the best things I invested in was
100%.
a standing desk
100% agree.
because it's so good. Yeah. Just,
Do you have a little treadmill under your desk too?
I'm looking at getting one.
I'll send
But
you
I
a link.
haven't yet.
I have one at home.
Yeah.
There's a little treadmill.
I saw them at Aldi a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, oh,
They're
I'm gonna get
amazing.
those.
It's the best thing ever.
And yeah, it's
You can't-
definitely.
You can't like run. You can't like run on it.
Yeah,
But you
I
can
don't need
walk.
extra running
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
yeah.
life, but
Yeah.
it's just better than standing. I find 'cause when you're
100%.
standing, you just
100%.
you know you're constant like you start to ache, and it's like if you're walking though, it's like get the steps in. And the only thing is though, if you're on your keyboard and all that, you're not getting
It's very
you're
difficult
not
to do
getting
work.
the kilometers, right? Because you're not
Yep.
moving your arm, and your watch isn't noticing when you're walking.
You can put the Garmin on your wrist.
foot.
Yeah, on your
Yeah,
on your ankle. On your
Yeah,
ankle. Yes, yes,
exactly.
yes. I
Yeah.
used to do it, and then I got a question about it being an ankle monitor, and then I immediately stopped.
Yeah.
And then since then, I have bought a it's like an arm strap, but
Yeah.
it's the extra long one, and I kind of tie it like around my calf.
A little higher so people. Don't
Yeah,
think
so
it's-
people
it's a
don't think
calf.
it's an ankle monitor.
Yeah.
What about the stuff like the old school ones? Like, it's like a pedometer that like went on your hip. Is that what they're called?
Pedometer, yeah.
Do they
Yeah.
still like exist?
I think your phone
Yeah.
does it still.
Your phone does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because I guess it's in
The
your
old
pocket.
school
It's-
ones, the old school ones also still exist.
Yeah.
But I don't think I can speak to the accuracy of those compared to an actual fitness tracking watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is like your go-to like fitness tracking? Is that like a one thing you guys all use, or like we had to use kind of combine a few different things because they specialize in
It
different things?
depends. It depends. For my weightlifting, I track everything on like a spreadsheet that my fitness coach provided
Oh, look
me,
at you.
where it was like a
Spreadsheets.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it just tracks the weight increases. But for like
Yeah.
running, I would say Garmin is the undefeated.
Yeah, for physical activity, I'm using.
Yeah.
I've just moved over to it recently, but I use in our gym setting. We use MyZone, which is like a heart rate monitor. I'm sure that
Mhm.
most people who've been into gyms these days can see it. We were one of the original gyms in Australia that actually brought that in when that was probably like 12 years ago or 10 years ago now. And now I see it everywhere. So it's it just makes fitness, I find, a little bit more gamified rather than just going and doing your class. You're now trying to push yourself into the zones and all that kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of chains have brought it in, like Body Fits and all that kind of stuff have kind of jumped on the bandwagon. We're like a small boutique gym, so that's not our main business. Like our main business was
First
the
aid.
gym.
Yep.
It actually, when we first started
Yep.
in 2017, 2016, going on 10 years in our location, we were just a gym and like did a little bit of group fitness, but COVID kind of really pushed us to be like, we need to do something else because the gym shut down.
Yep.
But we also pivoted online, and so all of our group fitness classes are also able to be done online.
That's
as well.
awesome.
So we still have a trainer that's on the stage, and there's a camera, and there's
Right.
a TV there. With
How did the
everybody at
trainers feel?
home. And yeah, it's just
It's
just
fine.
normal, right?
It's
Like
just
that's
normal.
just it's just you just do your workout. Yeah, you're just doing what you would have done, but you have a couple people sitting at home and a couple people in the gym, and I think it makes the trainers even better because they're able to see that actual. And so we actually do first aid courses sometimes. Like we've got people who are remote that are in Western Australia that are online doing the Zoom sessions, but
Nice.
we'll send the equipment out there and
Lovely.
so they actually have to be doing it in person still. But I find it's kind of given us that insight of how to actually see somebody doing the right body movements and all that online for the fitness, but also for first aid. So it's really
That's
kind of
huge.
crossed over onto both sides of it. So
That's huge. That's huge. I would imagine the online classes are almost more popular than the.
COVID, we'd have like 30 people at home because nobody else had anything to do. They're like, we're just gonna do
Yep.
workouts.
Keep talking. So when
And
when you're talking, it's your camera. So I'm just telling him to turn the temperature up.
oh, is it cold in here?
I'm cold because
Oh, see, I'm Canadian, so it's like it's nice and this is shorts and a t-shirt in the middle of Melbourne winter, right? Like this is I'm my fingers are a bit, but yeah, during COVID it was lots of learning, right? Like but it made us so that we pivoted the business into first aid, and so we were doing like I think our first year was like 100 people in the whole
Shit.
year of teaching. I had taught first aid before that in Canada. I'd come from a background of doing all that, but like when we started our own business, and I was just the only instructor, and we're like, let's just teach a couple group fitness classes and a couple first aids, and we used to be called AV corporate fitness, right? And it was more about the fitness of a company, and that came from my background in Canada of more holistic and wellness, and that was not a word yet I found in Australia was like people weren't receptacle to it, or they weren't receptive of it. They weren't like, oh yeah, we want to look for the health and the safety and the like just the full psychosocial the kind of the whole look of the employee. And I feel like that's just catching on now. I feel like it's about 10 years later, and people are now, and Canada I found was doing that when I left there.
Yep.
And it's just interesting because that's what we originally wanted to do, and then we're like, nah, people aren't into that yet. It's really struggled to get people to put as much into their staff at the moment in that word of wellness. Like it was just not something that was getting done yet. I think it's there now, but we pivoted, and that first year I think we did 100 people of first aid, and now we will put that in like through in a week, which is crazy to think.
Growth.
So yeah. Like
how long ago did you come over from Canada?
I've been here for about 14 years now.
14 years.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Canada were you from?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, somewhere. I can't. Just all blurs together now. But Vancouver Island.
Vancouver.
So the west coast of Canada, the best side. I'm biased though.
I have.
I don't know many Canadians.
I have no Canadian opinions.
You can trust me.
Okay.
You just gotta. Yeah, it's the. I find it's one of the most beautiful places because you've got the mountains, you've got the ocean, you've got you can go skiing one day and go down to the beach in the same day. Really, like it's
awesome.
It's quite amazing.
So what's your sport?
Running. Yeah, but I do enjoy skiing. Like I enjoy it. It's not my sport. Like if I'm going to do a winter sport, it's skiing. If hiking, I'm more like just being outdoors. I think that's the culture of the island. Like that's Vancouver Island. People just call it the island. Is just being outdoorsy. So you go camping, you go hiking, you go mountain biking. Like it's everything outdoors.
So Vancouver, the city, is not the same as Vancouver Island. Are they far
so
apart?
Like, you think of it like Tasmania.
Okay.
So Tasmania is off the coast of Australia.
Okay.
Tasmania is about double the size of Vancouver Island.
Okay.
But half the population. So Vancouver Island has a much bigger population, spread out still, but the island's a lot smaller and a lot closer to the mainland. So because it's so close to the mainland, the connection is so much more there. Like there's ferries that go in and out. You're just way more connected, but it's still remote enough that it's still a bit untouched. So
That's
just
awesome.
makes it's very like the very west, rugged west coast kind of feel.
Yeah,
So it's like Perth. Perth would be like rugged still. I look at it like it's still the west coast of Australia. It's still
different.
Yeah, exactly.
They do their own thing over there.
Yeah,
Lord knows what happens in Perth.
so far away.
You mentioned you started in wellness in Canada, and they seemed 5 to 10 years ahead of where Australia was at. Like, what made you get into that in the first place?
Well, I saw a need for it when I was here. I was like, there's a need because I've worked in like leisure centers, city council, and I found that when I was working in the council here, it was just something that wasn't like the managers weren't implementing those kind of workplace wellness programs yet. And when I'd spoken to other people in the corporate offices and stuff, it wasn't a major directive of companies to be doing that. Little bits of talks here and there, but few and far between of doing it and doing it well. So that was something that we really wanted to do. And so we did team building and first aid and safety training and fitness. So it's kind of a lot of different things. And it just wasn't, it was still pushing a, rock uphill, trying to get people to look after their staff.
So what do you feel like has changed in the last 14 years where now people are much more conscious of?
I just feel like the
holistic
work-life balance, and that could have been a lot for COVID as well. People working from home more, people wanting that, and I've always found Australia was more people work to live rather than live to work, which is a lot more in North America. I find people do, like, it's more career based. Here it was more, I find it's lifestyle a lot. but which is interesting because then the workplace isn't actually looking after people. Spend a third of their life at work, and they're not having those programs and looking after, and like mental health and all of that's become such a big thing that I feel like COVID has brought it to people's forefront of the mental health epidemic that's been happening in Australia and all of that. So
Is that a space you want to like get into as well?
it is something that like I teach mental health first aid already, so that is one of the things I enjoy teaching. It's not something I teach very much, but it's definitely something that I feel like it's always changing. There's always things to learn about it, and I've had personal myself gone through some mental health stuff. I've had friends that have sadly passed away from mental health issues and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that I care deeply about, but it's something I haven't gone right into that because it's not I wouldn't say it's my specialty of knowing exact, like I'm not a psychologist and all, and you don't have to be. And the more the first aid side of things, it's more getting people to recognize when somebody's having any they're struggling, and recognizing that and opening that conversation with them, and then helping guide them to find the support that they need. So I think more people just need to have just those little conversations. It's not even being the one to have the answers, but just recognizing when somebody might be struggling is but people can really keep a good face, I think, as well. So it can be a challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure like with your training as well and group classes and building a community, that goes a long way to helping mental health as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Big time. I think gyms are, in general, some of the safest places you can be.
I think especially when you can find a gym that has a community, and that's something that we've really created at ours, is that you don't just show up and do your Instagram photo and then go home. It's ours is really, as I said, the movement for life type thing, where people come and they move, they laugh, people are gonna go home on a Friday night and have a glass of wine, and we don't make them feel bad for that, because it's like that's life. Like that's what you want to do, we want to support you in being able to go and do that. And so it's and having friends that you can come and chat to, and
and I found that like 9 times out of 10, if someone is struggling, it's not even having the answers almost makes it worse. Or like you were saying, it's not about having the answers, it's more about starting that conversation, but just like sitting there and like just listening to what this person has to say. And I find that at my gym, it's the least judgmental place I've probably ever been, because you're in a position with like, okay, there's like 10 other blokes or 10 other people there, girls, guys, that are working towards the exact same thing as you. You're working towards a common goal, and there's so much support in that environment. And it is just a case of like, if you've had a rough one, it's okay to just be like, I've had a rough one. Someone there will say, you know what, mate, like, you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing, just keep doing what you're doing, it'll be okay.
And it's interesting because people actually, in a gym setting, people actually seem to open up more, because it's like you've almost got like the endorphins going. People just, I say being a PT, you're pretty much a counselor.
Yes.
Because people just will tell you everything. Which is great. But then, if you're in that industry, you also have to be able to, and that's probably been something that I've been able to improve on, because people share so much with you that you'll need to then, guide them to go and possibly seek somebody who actually has the tools to help with that. And so it's not not taking it personally and on board, and that's something that can be a lot for some people, and even people who are carers and working with people one-on-one, knowing like they are also need that support to be able to hand that off to somebody else and not take it on to themselves, really. Definitely. So I think that's an important thing to realize, that when you're in that really close relationship, whether it's a gym or one-on-one clients,
and it does become such an emotionally intimate session when you are with a one-on-one client. I had this couple that I would train, older couple, middle-aged, retired, and I would have the wife from 7 to 7:45, and then I have the husband from 8 to 8:45.
It's like couple counseling.
It was.
Yeah.
It was insane. So the wife would come in and she would tell me all the shit that her husband did over the last week. And then the husband would come in and he
Yeah.
would tell me all the shit that
They're
he
like,
did.
this is cheaper than counseling.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah. It was insane. And at the end of both of the sessions, I was like, I think you need to talk to your husband. And I think you need to
I
talk
think
to
you
your
guys
wife.
need to
I
go
think,
and,
like,
you know, maybe
you
they
guys
should
need
do
to have a
one-
conversation.
They should do some sessions together as well, right?
They couldn't. They tried. They
Yeah.
hated it.
Yeah.
They hated. They were
They
just like.
probably love the counseling session. That's
They
what
probably
they're-
did.
Yeah.
They probably did. Yeah.
Got
And like.
that out. Okay, now they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like they're like. It is weird. Now that I'm thinking about it more, it is weird how much people open up in a gym
Yeah.
setting.
They do, yeah.
It's
Which
insane.
is probably having that past. You know, I working with people is given me an insight. I feel that helped me in a lot of other areas. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, like we talk about like the camera guy, Arush, where we game a lot, and I think a lot of people kind of open up there as well. Because when you're like gaming, like it's more faceless, right? It's just another voice on the other end of the line. But people tend to get very, very close very quickly in that kind of scenario as well.
yeah.
And plus, when you're working, like in same as the gym, like when you're doing something together, that's like similar in terms of like it's either lifting weights or running versus pick up and control
That
playing
common
game.
goal.
Yeah, like everyone, you're suddenly comrades, like suddenly on the same page, like you're doing the same thing at the same time. It's a lot easier to relate. Even if these people could be from opposite sides of the world, they have zero things in common outside of like playing the video game. People tend to open up
Yeah.
just from
The
that shared
more time you
activity.
spend with somebody, then
Yeah.
so it's good to have that. So yeah, I guess what's next with AB, the group itself. So as I said, we're moving into a new space. So probably by the time
That's
this
huge.
podcast comes out, we've been in the same space for almost 10 years. So it'll be in the next month we'll be moving most of the stuff over. So that's going to be a huge change. It's opening up a lot of space for us to be doing more training. We've got more training rooms, creative room. Gym will be different. It'll just kind of revitalize that. So ideally growing the gym a bit. It's never
Massive.
been the main focus, but we we would love it to grow a little bit. But really ideally, growing the first aid public courses. We want to offer some more stuff, heights training and other different types of training that we can now do in that new space, which will be great. And then ideally, we've also got a charity that we run, which is, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you guys, but it's called the Big School Walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so Brendan and myself, he kind of came up with the idea, but we've run it with a few other people on the board. And it's all about helping kids in remote schools in the Philippines. And so we raise money to pretty much help them with education. So it's a walk on this little island in the middle of the Philippines. And so we've got that next month, which is exciting.
That's
Are
awesome.
you going there?
Yeah, so we go every year. So this is on the 26th of September. And this year we're running it alongside. So we've got the event. So it's mostly business owners that we get to come and just a few friends and family. And so that's who the client that comes. And then last year we raised about 50 grand to build new roofs. And we've got like 10 different projects that we're doing at 10 different schools. But this year we're like, let's do more because I've got so much time.
Yeah.
And so this year we're running the walk and we're running a marathon for the island on the same day.
That's awesome,
So
bro.
we're doing like a full 42, 21, 10K that's running kind of at the same time. So and all the schools come out. There's like thousands of kids along the side of the road. Like it's quite
That's awesome, man.
quite an amazing experience. So
That's really cool.
yeah. So that's
really cool.
That's kind of what's coming up next. We've got that and AB growth and
Yeah,
should
that's
be good.
insane. That's exciting, man. When you get the new gym all set up, let us know. We'll come down.
Yeah.
I'll come hit a session.
Or you can jump online and do it.
Or I could jump online and do it by accident.
Exactly. So
That's
come
awesome, man.
come try one online.
Yeah,
Maybe
well.
me in the morning.
We appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no problem.
We appreciate your
I
time.
think that's
Hopefully have you
that's
back. I
pretty
think
much
that
everything.
yeah, I think that brings a pretty natural end
Yeah.
to our conversation. I suck at signing these things off. We'll see you in the next episode with our next guest. We love you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know who you want to see next and why. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you, Aaron.
Lovely.